right, good afternoon. You've made it to the afternoon portion of your Friday. So I'm going to go over what you're going to be doing for science today on your own. So in class, we had already pretty much discussed everything that you needed to finish up your moon mini book. I'm going to go ahead and pause this right here really quickly. That way you can stop the video if you need to so that you can see what needed to be done on this book. Alright? And then don't forget to do your highlighting in the back and count how many times you find the word there. Alright, so what I'm going to go over with you right now is your what is an orbit. So of course you're going to want to put your name there. You can color this up and decorate it however you think looks best. And on the inside it says, an orbit is the path one object takes around another. The moon takes 27 days to orbit Earth. So on this page, we want to think about how the moon orbits the Earth. And we're actually going to be drawing a very similar picture to what we drew right here. It's almost going to be identical, actually. So you want to draw your Earth, put some land on it, and then draw your moon with the craters. Remember, the moon is smaller than the Earth. And then you want to draw that path that the moon takes around the Earth with that arrow to show how it goes on its orbit. And we have learned that it takes 27 days for the moon to orbit the Earth. So the only thing that's going to be different, we are going to write 27 days for the moon to orbit the Earth. And then of course you're going to color yours in. You want to have green land masses and blue water. And then your moon, if you want to leave it white or if you want to color it maybe a little bit in with a little yellow or something like that, you can. It takes Earth 365 days to orbit around the sun. And we had talked about that. We had talked about how the Earth jumps on its giant motorcycle in the sky and it revs its engine and it makes one revolution around the sun, and it takes a year to do that. So we're going to want to put the sun in the middle this time. And I like to put little rays like that to so that I know that this was the sun. Little rays of light going around it. And then we want to take our Earth and make those land masses again. Those would be green. I would color my sun yellow or orange, or maybe a combination of both might look nice. And then I would draw my Earth on its orbit going around the sun. And this time we're going to spend 365 days. And another way to remember 365 days, that is 1 year. So you're going to want to put that around there. Now, if you want, you can still go ahead and put the moon with its craters going around the Earth at the same time in its 27 days. Now you don't have to put the moon going around the Earth. You can just have the Earth going around the sun. But if you would like to have a bigger picture, a bigger idea of what that's going to look like, that's how that would go. And then you'll want to color yours in, of course. And then the last page, just like all the mini books that we've been doing so far, the ones that we did when we were in class together, and these here as well, it says, how many times can you find the word orbit? Remember, you can either use a crayon or you can use a highlighter to do these. If you have a highlighter, you want to look. This is the word you're looking for. How many times can you find the word orbit? So you want to make sure you see all of the letters in it when you do it. Now you can just highlight across them if you have your highlighter. If you don't have a highlighter, you could use a crayon to do the exact same thing because a crayon usually works just as nicely. But if you're going to do that, you're going to want to use a light color like yellow or a real pale green maybe, or light baby blue like this one. And if you don't have one of those things handy, you can always do it by circling the word orbit. I'm looking for another one. Here's one. You can circle it with a pencil too. And then you'll want to write the number of times that you were able to find the word. Okay? So that's one part of what you're going to be doing for science this afternoon. And then the last part. In your green science folder, you have a little packet that looks like this. And it says phases of the moon. And you'll see this little diagram here. And behind it you see the phases of the moon. And then behind that you're going to see a page where there's a sun, an earth, and a moon. And then behind that you're going to see some funny little shapes that look like these. They're called constellations. We're not talking about these this week. So you're going to want to just pull this page off and put it back into your green folder, because we're going to be talking about this page next week together. So you can just tuck this one right back into your folder and go ahead and put your books in there if you're done with those. All right, now I had sent everybody home with a baggie of these golden paper fasteners. We call them brads sometimes, or they can be called paper fasteners. And you should have 4 of them in here, and that's exactly how many you're going to need to complete the projects here. So, I'm going to read the directions to you. It says, cut out both circles on both pages. The circle on this page will be on top of the circle on the other page. Also, cut out the triangle on the dotted line. This will help you see each phase of the moon after you put this activity together. After you put the circle on top of the other, poke through the middle where the X is marked with a paper fastener, also called a brad. After that, you can turn the top circle counterclockwise and enjoy the phases of the moon. So here we have our 2 phases of the moon. Now there are 3 sheets of paper here. So I'm going to separate them from each other. And these 2 go together to make one project. This is going to be the second project. So I'm going to put that off to the side. And the first direction was to cut out the circles. So I'm going to do that. And now at any point during this video, you can go ahead and stop the video, pause it, and you can do the same thing that I'm doing now, so that you're doing it with me, or you can watch the whole video and go off on your own and do the full activity. Whatever you think you need to do. Whatever seems the easiest to you. So I'm cutting both of these circles out. I'm holding it kind of far away from me, so it's hard for me to see to get it under the camera here. So I hope that your circles can be cut out a little bit more neatly than mine. Now, it also said that we needed to cut out the dotted line here to make this little triangle piece. It's going to make a little cutout so that we can see the moon phases behind the Earth. And then you want to cut out right here as well and get that whole triangle out of there. Now, this one is your top and this one is your bottom page. So this is where you will, well, the first thing you're going to want to do before you do anything else, you are going to want to color your Earth. So all the little land places should be colored green, and then the water in between should be colored blue. And then here's your moon phases right here. Now you see how there's an X here and an X here? We have to join those 2 X's together, and this is how we do that. So inside your bag, you're going to want to take out 1. You just need 1 of those gold brads, those gold paper fasteners. And you want to take the paper fastener and you want to push it through this one first. So we're going to push it right through the middle of the earth, right on that X. And it comes through just like that. Now we're going to take the same paper fastener and we're going to push it through the moon phases, right through that X. And then if we turn it upside down, paper fasteners or brads, they've got two little arms, and you want to separate those two little arms, and that holds the papers together. That's why it's called a paper fastener. It fastens the paper together. Now what you're going to want to do, put one hand on top of your project, take the other hand and kind of spin the little arms on the paper fastener like this direction, and then spin them in that direction. And what that does is it helps create a little circle inside so that you can spin your project around and see it. So I want to get to the new moon. Whoops. So here's the new moon. And then if I spin it counterclockwise, I can see the waning crescent moon. I can see the, try to keep it on the camera and still see what I'm doing. The last quarter moon, the waning gibbous moon, the full moon, the waning gibbous moon, the first quarter moon, the waxing crescent, the new moon. So we can go around and we can see all the phases of the moon once our project is put together. And make sure you put your name on it. And you can date it. You can even put your name and date on the back if you want, so that years down the road, if you ever pull this out, you'll know exactly how old you were when you made this one. Now I've noticed on mine that I have a little bit of an edge here that I can actually cut off that I don't need. It's sticking out from behind from the second page, so I'm going to cut that off. And then another important piece that you need to do is make sure that any of your scraps, you're not going to leave them on the floor. You are going to throw them away. It is your scraps. You should be throwing them away and cleaning up your space just like you would if you were in class. So I'm going to throw mine in the garbage. All right, and then the other project that you're going to create today is a model of the sun, the earth, and the moon. And it actually reminds me quite a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and put this project in here. In the little orbit book that we did, the picture that I drew right here, where we have the sun and then the earth goes around the sun and then the moon goes around the earth, that's kind of what we're creating with this project here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to color your sun. You're going to want to color your earth, and you're going to want to color your moon. And then you can cut all of the pieces out. And you do need these rectangles as well. Okay? So we're just going to pretend that I've colored mine. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out my sun. Just like this. And then I'm going to cut out my earth. Staying on the lines, there's my earth, and then my moon. Now remember, as far as doing the coloring, you're going to want to do that before you cut them out. It's easier that you can hold the edges of the paper while you color than when you're trying to hold on to a little tiny piece of paper. And there's my moon. And then you also, I'm going to tear this part off because it'll be easier to cut these two rectangles out. They made these rectangles very handy-dandy because they tell you exactly what to do with them, right on them. The words give you the specific directions of what you attach where. Okay, So there's the first one. And here's the second one. And again, you can be stopping the video and you can be doing this with me so that by the time you're done watching the video, you'll have your project put together too. Or if it's easier for you just to watch the directions and then just do the project on your own, that is fine too. Whatever is easier for you. All right, so we've got our two rectangles here. And the rectangles actually tell us what to do. So the bigger one, the longer rectangle, says attach sun and earth. And you actually want to attach them in the order that they are here. So we want to attach the sun first to this side, and then the earth to this side. And the black dots show us where we're going to use our brads. So you reach in, you get one more brad out of your little bag. Okay, we want the sun on the top, so we're going to poke the hole right through there. And then we're going to attach the sun to this hole right here. So this you'll want to be very careful. You want to hold your paper fastener, and you want to just gently push right through the center of that paper. And you'll want to open up the arms. All right, and then go ahead and give it a little spin in both directions. Be careful when you do this, because you're just trying to make a nice circle to make things move easily, but you don't want to rip the paper. All right, so then the next part, we want to attach the earth to this side here. So I'm going to take my next paper fastener, and I'm going to send it through the middle of the earth here. And then I'm going to attach the earth to the strip on the sun. I am not going to open the arms yet because this one I have to attach the earth and the moon. So I've got to attach the earth to this side and the moon to this side. I'm going to use the same paper fastener, and I'm just going to push it right through where it says the earth. Now I can turn it over and I can make the arms spread apart, and I want to hold all three papers while I give it a little bit of a spin, and then spin it in the other direction as well. And then I'm going to flip this one back over, and now I have to attach my moon right onto the end, and I have exactly one more paper fastener. Right here, I'm going to put that one through the center of the moon, and then right through that little dot on the paper. And then I can flip the whole thing over, and I can spin it so that I can make that little hole in the middle so that everything moves easily. Usually when you're using paper fasteners like this instead of using staples, it's because you're wanting things to move. So we have a model of how the earth revolves around the sun, but at the same time the moon is revolving around the earth. I think I need to make this one a little bit more spinny because it doesn't want to move. I must not have spun it enough. All right. So while the earth is spinning around the sun, the moon is also spinning around the earth. Right? And then you have and if you remember, the earth going around the sun creates winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then it also, because the earth is tilted on its axis, depending on where we are in our orbit, that's what creates those seasons. So when you're going to tuck this away, it's better if you tuck the moon right behind, and then when you go to put it back into your folder, it will fit and nothing will hang out. because you don't want to lose any parts to your projects, and they can go right in there. You have all your little mini books, and the only thing we have left, we will study the stars and constellations starting next week on Monday, and it'll be one of those days that you're going to need your cardboard tube, whether it's a toilet paper tube or a paper towel tube, you're going to need one of these. All right. All right, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on Monday. Bye.